Yo, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Street Coder Nate, and today we got a good one for you. So today we tapping into CSS positioning. Last time we talked about the box model, how everything's structured in boxes. Today we're talking about how we can position those boxes and how they're naturally positioned on the in HTML and how we can manipulate those positionings with CSS. So without further ado, grab you a drink. I went to Flying Horse Cafe this morning, got me a nice little green shake. Now I'm about to tap in. Let's get it. Okay, so right now what you see on the screen is just some HTML on the browser. And you got one box, two box, three box, four box, five box. And basically the HTML for this looks like this. This is the HTML. We got, let me zoom in just a little bit. We got our boxes right here. One box, two box, three box, four box type shit, I'm in here now. This is my channel. We talking how Nate talks. Time to learn. So we got we got five boxes. And I drew this little shortcut just in case you want to learn how to do shortcuts in Visual Studio Code. So basically, if you write out div and you say dot for like a class, remember we use dots for classes, hashtag for ID, and I say box dash, and let's say I want to say box. Each one is like box one, box two, box three, ID equals box three. I put this little dollar sign like this. Oops. Excuse me. Put that little dollar sign like that. And then times 5. And bang. It will do the little shortcut for you. So that's, if you want to learn that shortcut, don't try to remember all the shortcuts off the top of your head. I just go to the little shortcut cheat sheet online, and then I just use the cheat sheet until I memorize it because I've used it so much. So do that. Do not try to remember that. Okay. So I created 5 little divs. And remember, divs are just divisions. They're little boxes. They help us create separation. So when we come back over here and we hover over these HTMLs, you see that these are just different boxes. And because we remember our the other class or the other video where we talked about the box model, we see that there's no padding, no margin, or no borders. It's just a box right now. And so I want to dress up this box class. I want to make the box, like if we look at it right here, these boxes they don't have no background. You can't really tell which box separate each other from what separates each box from which box. So what I'm gonna do is give the boxes some let's say some padding and some background color, and we'll see what happens to the box. So and I'm going to do that on, so I have this class called box on each element, which means that the style for box, when I define the style for box inside my CSS, that style is going to be applied to all 5 of these, because each 5 of the divs have a class box. But I'm going to do specific styling on the box 1 ID, box 2 ID, box 3 ID. And those specific styling is going to come from basically the background color, so you can see which one is which. Right away, I did some CSS resets. I mentioned this to you before to clean up our CSS for the browser. And now that we reset our CSS, let's come down here and let's do our custom styles. Right, so got our custom styles. So now we got our custom styles. Let us start creating our style. So like I said, we got a box class, and in the box class, I just want to say width, or I want to say padding. Let's give it 1 rem, something like that. Let's see what this does. Padding 1 rem, pushes them out already. Okay, cool. And then remember, I got multiple boxes, so I got box -1 like this, IDs. And what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and copy that down a few times and change this from 1 to 2, 3. I'm pretty sure there's a Visual Studio Code shortcut for this too. Didn't look it up before. Okay, and so what I'll do here is just change this one background color to let's go with here first, and then let's play around with some colors so we get a dope color like that. Then we'll take that and we'll just come down here, manipulate this color, make that color like, let's go some type of blue. Come here, manipulate this color real quick. Typically on these videos, I'm gonna have this part already done, but I just wanted y'all to see it on this first one, how I'm really setting it up. But in the next few videos, it will just already be set up, the whole background colors and stuff, and then we'll just be playing around. But this is how, when you come to the next few videos and you see everything set up, and you see these boxes, and these boxes have background colors like this, you won't just be like, how the hell did he just set that up? You see that all I basically did was do some CSS reset, which I simply Googled. Then after that, I did a basic HTML file with 5 divs, put a class on them so that they all can have that same box-like structure. And then I put a ID so that they all can have different colors. And there you go right here. And actually, instead of making the padding 1, I'm probably gonna make the padding like 2 for the 2 rim. Yeah. So that's even better. Okay, so this, let's tap into, we're at 5 minutes. Yeah, let's tap into the positioning. So, what do I mean by position? Well, if you look at this web page, you have box 1 on top of box 2, on top of box 3, on top of box 4, on top of box 5, right? Cool. The position of box 1 is first, and then there's the second position of box 2, then there's the third position, box 3, there's fourth position, box 5, or 4 and 5, right here. So basically, in a way, when we write our HTML, if you're looking at the right hand side, right over there, I forgot I can move myself. So when we write in the HTML over here, right here in the browser, this HTML, right? You see how it got box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, and then box 5, right? Well, the thing is, the browser is going to naturally read the HTML, and it's going to put it on the screen from top down. So basically, it's going to go over here and say, all right, so this was the first thing I saw. So naturally, I'm going to put that one first. This is the second thing. Naturally, put that one second. Third thing. Naturally, put that one third. This type of positioning is called a static positioning. And this is the default positioning of all HTML elements when they first get to the page. Now, all HTML elements, yes, are statically positioned. But you can change their positioning property and say, let's say you didn't want box 1 to come, or box 2 to fall right underneath box 1. Let's say you wanted it to overlap box 1 somehow. We can change that positioning with CSS. And so today, that's what I'm tapping in with. So once again, all of these right now are positioned statically, but we, we are going to take a look at positioning them differently, not static, but just different ways of positioning. And so the first way that we're going to play around, and we're going to play around with box 2 first. So the first position, once again, is position static. And so if I go here, position, you see all the different positions that one can have, right? And so you got the absolute, we're going to get there, fixed, relative, static, sticky, and those are typically the 3 ones, so, or the 5. So remember, static is the normal, and then you're gonna have relative. So let's tap into relative. So what is relative? So we're gonna put position relative on box 2. Let's see if it changes at all in the browser. So after refreshing the page on the browser, you see that our page, our box 2, right? Our box 2 right here, it has not changed at all. And so we got to figure out, why didn't it change? We just added a whole position relative to it, and it's the only one that has position relative, right? So what does doing position relative do for us? Well, in the terms of stacking things on top of each other, as the browser reads the first line of HTML right here, and then the browser reads the second line, what is it doing basically is saying, static position, this is the normal position that it would have been in box 1, and then it goes box 2, this is your normal position that you would have been in, right? And although box 2 has a position relative, we haven't moved box 2 at all, so it's just going to be at its normal position. The reason that it's called relative is because we're going to be able to move this box. We're going to be able to move this box's position relative to where it naturally falls in the HTML. So what do I mean? Like this is where this part where is where it naturally falls in HTML, right above or right below box 1, right above box 3. But now that I changed the position to relative, I can now alter its positions by using top, right, left, and bottom. Those type of properties. So if I go top like this and I say I want you to be one rim, what this basically says is I want you to be one rim from the top. Now, now, so it says I want you to be one rim from the top. Top of what? Well, top of the position that you would have naturally been at. And so if you see now, we have this white space right here because box 2 is one rim down, which is 16 pixels. That's what it translates to. Is box 2 is one rim down from the position that it would have naturally been at. But check out what happened to box 3 though. So box 2 starts to overlap box 3. Box 2 is over box 3 right now. Like if you look at it, box 2 is right here, and then box 3 is right here. You see that overlap on that green right there. Let me go ahead and move myself up so you can see it. But that green is what you see right here. This overlap when we're looking at box 3. That green right there, that green is part of box 2. Where you that green part that's overlapping, that is part of box 2, and box 2 is now putting itself on top of box 3. So what we're gonna have to do, what we can do is, we can leave it like that, and then you can kind of just start playing around with different things, with the different positionings. But okay, so if we can move it to the top right, or to the top like one rim. We could also do bottom, and you see it move from the bottom. And then once again, we could do right as well. So, or let's try left first. So one rim from the left, look like that. One rim from the right, look like that. And some people be like, well, what's the difference between this and like margin and stuff? Well, this is a little different because margin actually like will move other elements, right? But as you saw that when I changed the position, all the other elements, natural positions stays. They don't move. They keep the same static positioning. If there's a element relative to it above or below, it's still going to have the same static positioning. The browser is still going to position everything statically. It's just going to be able to, now you can use that position. You can use that that element that's positioned relatively. You can just move it all over the place wherever you need it relative to the position that it started at. Cool. So that's position relative, and each of them have position relative. And now that we're here talking about position relative, let me go back to bottom like this, and let me increase this padding. I'm going to increase the padding here to padding. I'm going to go 3 rem. 3 rem, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do here is remove not the bottom, but the top, like that. So now box 2 is over box 3. We clearly see that. But let's increase it to 2 rem, 3 rem. Okay, cool. 4 rem. We're at 4 rem. So you can clearly see that box 2 is hovering over box 3, right? Cool. Well, we can change what's called the Z index. If you think of X, Y, Z coordinates, X and Y being like X being a horizontal, Y being a vertical, Z being the 3D one. That's the 3D one. We can change that 3D. And right now box 2 is on top of box 3. But the way that we can change box 3 to be on top is by changing this Z index. Z index. And basically you just give it a number like 2, or let's say 3, 4, something big. Okay. Z index 100. And then you go back here on box 2 and you say Z index like 0, and it should go behind box 1. Okay, the reason it doesn't go behind box 2 is because it's position relative, and box 2 is position, or box 3 is position static. Now, so I'll just cut that part out. Okay, so that's that with that, and that's position. That's positioning things relative, right? Okay, what if I want to position box 2 absolute. What does that mean? Remember, we had we already covered relative. Let's come back here and let's see what they have to offer. Let's come here and they got relative, static. We did those two. Actually, let's try fixed first. What is fixed? So we refresh, and now we got box 2 is fixed. And but like you see, kind of like box, what is that? Box 3 kind of came up. Box 2 right now is covering box 3. Like we can say background color transparent, background color, and we go transparent. And you'll see that it's box 3 is right there, or box 3 don't came up, but we're gonna remove that background color. Okay, so what basically happened here is that with the position static and the position relative, each of those blocks keep its natural positioning in the HTML, meaning one block is going to come after one block, one div is going to come after one div. But when we change the position to anything other than relative and static, when you change it to like fixed and sticky somewhat, we're going to get into sticky, fixed, sticky, and absolute, what you will see is that they lose, those elements lose their position, and all the elements below it move up. So what happened was box 2 is kind of like a ghost element in a way, like it shows up, but in the HTML sense, it's almost as if box 2 right here in the HTML, it's almost like box 2 coming down real quick. It's almost like box 2 right there in the HTML does not even exist. Like it's like, but then you see that it does exist, and all the HTML inside of box 2 will be there, but like on a positioning level, it will not be positioned static. It will not be stacked. And so what will happen is it will show up at the location that it's supposed to be at, like box 2. Remember, box 2 showed up. It was coming right after box 1. But the thing is, everything underneath it is just going to scroll up as if it didn't exist, and then box 2 just going to sit right on top of it. And so with fix, once again, that gives us the ability to this gives us the ability to move the position again. And so this position is, once again, it's position relative first, and to the location that is at, and then you can say oh no, it's actually position. If you don't change the position, it just naturally goes to where it is at, if that makes sense, where it's naturally positioned at. Although all the other elements will still not care about its static or relative position, it will still be positioned there naturally. Like it will still be positioned right there naturally, but it'll still be positioned right there naturally. But the thing is, when we start messing with the left, top, right, and bottom, it doesn't, like, the position now becomes relative to the overall screen rather than just to a specific spot. And so I can say, like, you'll see me right here, and I'll go, where's that damn cursor? All right, and I'll go, let's go bottom, and I say 0. And so what that did was it literally took my item from right here and brought it all the way down there to the bottom 0. And now I can also say like right 0. And now it's at the bottom right. And so how about I extend my page? I'm just going to extend this one for, let's say box 1 is a height of, give it some ridiculous height of 200 VH, like that. So you see that we're at box 1 right here. That's box 1. And so I'm going to start scrolling down box 1, and you see box 3 shows up and box 4. So what position sticky position fix allows us to do is just leave something right wherever we need it at. Let's say this is just some type of scroll, like click down, or what did it say? Click this and it'll scroll down. So we could just leave, you can have some type of element like that, and you can just leave it right there. And as you see, as we scrolling, it just stays there. It doesn't move. That's the fix. It's fixed there, right? Cool, so that is fixed. So let's refresh the page and let's come back and let's change this. What else we just did? Fix. Let's try absolute. So what does absolute do? Refresh. So right now, absolute kind of look like fixed. And if you think about it, fixed is actually absolute, because fixed is just absolute that stays in a position at once. Because basically, let me show you what I mean by that. So if I go to box 2 and I add the same things that I did, like bottom right here, and I say 0, you see it goes straight to the bottom. And I say right 0, you see it goes to the right. But now let's go back and add on box 1 that height of 200 VH again. Right. Okay. So watch what happens as I scroll. As I scroll, that element scrolls with me. So the difference between here, fixed, and absolute is that with fixed, that element is just going to stay positioned where it was positioned at. With absolute, it's going to scroll with the browser. So then sooner or later, it ends up coming out of the screen. So people use absolute whenever they just need to put, like, let's say you, oh shoot, I'm all over the thing. Okay. But yeah, that's that. And then as you can see, as we scroll, the box goes up, and as we scroll down, the box comes down. And so what I'm trying to get here is that people will use absolute whenever you just need to move that box to a specific position just for the time being, and then it'll go out the way as the person scrolls. You know, you starting to see where you would use these at. So that's box 2. And then, so that's absolute, and I need a better way to find my cursor. All right. Bruh, where's my cursor? All right, here we go. It's the sun blinding me. All right, so, all right, cool. So we got box 2, and it was absolute, but now let's change it to sticky. All right, so box 2 is back to sticky. So what is sticky? So as you can see, it went back to how position static, position relative kind of looks off the bat. But now we position like what is it? Sticky is real dope, because it's like you get position relative, but then once you hit a certain position in the browser, it just like stops, or it becomes fixed. Let's see. So let's see. I have box 2 and box 1 and box 2. What I'm gonna do is box 2 is already sticky, and so I'm gonna set the top to let's say 2 rem, and then I'm gonna make the right like 3 rem or something. And so let's see what happens as I'm gonna move box 1 to be a height of 100 VH. Cool. So now box 1 is 100 VH. We're gonna scroll. Actually, probably need to make because that one's gonna be sticky. So that one's gonna be 100 VH, and then we also need to make box 3 100 VH, height 100 VH. Okay. And so now you can, what's about to happen is, you see that right there. You just seen what happened? Look, we got box 1, we started scrolling, and I said, look to the side for box 2. For box 2, I said top is 2 rems, right is 3 rems. So as I start scrolling, scroll, when the box 2 gets 2 rems from the top, it becomes fixed. It stops being position relative, and then it becomes position fixed. And now that it's fixed, it just stays there. And you could probably think about a navigation bar or something and whatnot. And so whenever that element just gets to a certain position, it becomes it sticks there. So that's what sticky is. And honestly, I think that was about it. What was the position? Positions. So we got our position: absolute, fixed, relative, sticky, and static. And so with these elements, naturally, like relative and static, those are real cool elements, but like real cool when it comes to stacking, just one on top of each other, moving things around. But when you come to absolute, position fixed, and position sticky, there's this thing called like parents, so, nested children and whatnot. For an example, if I wanted to nest a child inside of this div, I could just say div, and then I'll put like a H1 or something. That will nest that H1 child inside of the div, and I'll just say box one. And so now my box one got a H1 child in it. And so what I mean by that is we could put divs inside of divs too. And if an inner div, let's say if one of the inner divs here, if one of those inner div or outer divs, and let's make this a div too. Div. All right. So let's say that this inner div right here was positioned absolute, right? And then this inner div was positioned relative. So what we saw before was that if we did a position absolute, that the object kind of like hopped over to like hopped over wherever it needed to be on the screen. And that's because there was no outer element that was encompassing this inner element that became positioned absolute, position fixed, or positioned whatnot, or position sticky. So with those three positions, you want to put them in, you want to encapsulate them inside of a container that is either position relative or it's called positioned element. So it has to be either position relative, positions, anything other than position static. Usually what you want to typically put your positioned elements inside of, if that makes sense. And once you put them inside of it, that makes it relative to that position or to that element. So if you said absolute, the absolute value or the absolute of this div would be the container of like the box and whatnot, and rather than the whole screen. Now, if you want the whole screen, then you don't encapsulate it inside of a div that's positioned, right? So if you want your objects to be within some position and you don't want it to move out that position, create it a box and tell it it only can be absolutely positioned inside that box, right? And once you do it like that, everything just makes sense for real. And so I just wanted to mention that part because I know that can be kind of complicated at times. But we pretty much made it through, y'all. Like, let me find this cursor. I'm really being blind by this sun. All right, made it through, y'all. So, and I'm basically proud of y'all. Like y'all got the CSS positioning down, like amazing. Like now we own to something better than CSS positioning. We own to Flexbox. So we heard about the box model, we heard about positioning the boxes, and now we hearing something about Flexbox. Flexbox is honestly just it's a way to use the box model and positioning to lay out your websites. Remember, the hardest part about CSS for people is laying out the website, getting it to lay out properly, getting things to center properly, getting the space around things. So we're going to handle all of that with this thing called Flexbox in our next video. I'm going to see you then. All right, y'all. Y'all know what to do. Hit that button, that like one, the other ones too, all of them. And tap in with me. And leave a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. And I'm going to get with y'all. Peace. All right.